we went through and rolled down quite a few of the logs to get them ready. So we just have 2 pine, big one on there, and this one that's on the rails right now. The rest is in the pile over there, over yonder. So cut these 2, and then a whole bunch of cedar. And at the very end of the pile, back side of the pile, is walnut? No.
White ash.
White ash. Back side of the pile. So you put these here, once you roll it on, you have these brackets.
Dogs.
Dogs.
Doesn't look like a dog?
I don't hear it barking. Okay, so dogs are in place.
Yeah, probably not securely yet.
Yeah, some strong tails.
So what I'm looking at is where the knots are at. So it looks like there's only a knot here and a knot here. And basically what that means is this tree grew with this side facing the south, because there are no branches on the northern side. So if it's facing the south, the wood always wants to come this way. It's called stress. And if we cut the knots off, it reduces some of that stress, because the knots kind of pull it all together. So I'm thinking I can make one cut here, bring this down, and then flip it up, and then cut these knots off, and then hopefully the cant, the square block, when we get done, will stay fairly straight and we'll have straight boards. So that's the goal. But first thing we need to do is cut off any bark that has dirt on it, because that acts just like a sandpaper. And you run the blade through it and dulls the blade. And the blade is not very sharp as it is, because I was cutting that cedar yesterday with the hard knots.
Just a bunch of sap buildup, huh?
Yep, bleeding out. All the bark holds sand and dirt just from the wind blowing it, but this is from dragging it on the ground a little bit. Now,
I cleaned off your runway.
Sidewalk. Very important step, especially any kind of pine that has lots of sap in it.
Doesn't every pine have a lot of sap in it?
Well, it depends when they're cut. If they're cut in the wintertime, they don't have as much.
Oh, when they're cut. So this one definitely has a lot of sap in it.
Some, not as much as it would if you cut it right now. Right now it would just be literally like water running out.
Well, I'm just saying, like, from looking at it right now, you can see the bubbles.
Yeah.
And leaking. So you're prepping, that's just a spray bottle of the WD-40?
Yep. And then we coat the whole thing. Well, not the whole thing. Most of it with WD-40.
The blade itself?
No, the mill. Because otherwise it fills up with pitch. So this whole arm rides just on this steel bracket right here. So called the cantilevered system.
Say it one more time. The whole arm rests on that. Okay.
It's called a cantilever. Like a cantilever is where you have something here and then it
Cantilever.
hangs over. This one actually is not a true cantilever, because over there's a bearing that rides on that side too. But this is actually loose over here, and it only goes down when there's pressure on the blade. So this whole thing right now is just resting on this. And if this gets filled up with pitch, number one, it's really rough and you'll notice it in the blade.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it's really hard to push because it's like rolling it over gravel rather than concrete, you know.
So it's just grease so the sap or the pitch doesn't stick to it.
Oh, it's WD-40. So you know WD-40 stands for, darling?
I think. Can't come up with anything intelligent this morning. No smart aleck comment.
Well, WD, water displacement. You know what 40 stands for? From? Where it came from?
40. Water displacement after you turn 40.
They finally figured it out on the 40th try. They're trying to come up with some kind of compound.
Does it say that on here?
No, I doubt it. I don't know, maybe. That's what.
Water displacement.
The 40 came from the 40th try. There's two brothers that were trying to figure out the system for
Lubricates, penetrates, used on countless drives. Don't think it has a history.
No?
Nope. Pretty interesting though. Thanks for the fact of the day.
So then I do all these parts that get loaded up with pitch. So these are where bearings roll to keep it perfectly square. So there's one here and one here. So this one I can't move. There's loads of pressure on it. That's what's keeping it square this way. So
this one right here.
Yep.
I have to lubricate my fingers.
Well, you're probably going to want some after you hand over your boards. And then on this side, same thing.
So mainly for the pine right now, you don't have to reapply for cedar, or you just do it to.
I do it for every day, but actually I do it 2 or 3 times depending on how long we saw. But
yesterday you had quite a few hours time.
So I have my putty knife right here so I can scrape off any of the sawdust. You see how it builds up here? Even you see right here?
Mm-hmm.
So this is really bad here because this is where all the sawdust blows into.
Kind of like a pasty.
It turns pasty. But see how this all builds up? So then it throws it out of square. I mean, most people would not worry about that little bit, but I like when they cut 8 boards and stack them up and it looks like one solid one because they're so perfect. And then all this I generally spray, but I sprayed it yesterday before you got started. Now it's kind of, once the sawdust is on there, it's difficult. And there's a slide here, a slide here, and then when you put motor oil on this rail, this is a bearing down there.
Which you put some on when we set it up.
Yep, I do it every time before we start. So just from rolling it that far, you can see the little bit of pitch that was on, even though I cleaned this yesterday when we quit. See, then here, see how it's built up? Yesterday, that part didn't get any WD. And there's a little like felt sponge there. Now there's a bearing on there that rolls. So I could just roll it all the way down, and all the way back.
I mean, for every, how many times you go up and back for like each log? I mean, it's...
Depends how big the log is, but this one, you can go back and forth a lot of times. Oh, we'll only do this once and then saw like a half a day or more, depending on the wood, and then...
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's constantly moving back and forth, so the lubrication is so important.
Yeah. So yesterday, before I quit, I put gas and everything in it. We just need to put the water up top for lubrication.
Ready for the ride.
And put some tension on
You
the
turn
blade.
that on right away? The valve?
Only when we saw. So now is where you gotta do the math. So the first thing we do is, like if a log is tapered, and this is not a very good example because it's kind of got a little bit of a crook in it, but if we look at one of these cedar over here, for example, here's a real good dramatic case right here. Okay, so here, if this were laying on the deck, this measures, say, 4 inches, and then we go to the other side, and this measures 6.5 inches. So we have to raise that end half of the difference. So 6.5 minus 4 is so 2.5. So half of 2.5 is what? Inch and a quarter.
Yeah.
So we'd have to lift that 1.25 inches so that we take the same amount off on the top as we do on the bottom. Because if you just left it on here like this, you'd take off the top there and you'd end up cutting.
Yeah,
like
it would be tapered the whole way. I mean, it'd be consistent.
So it's a little extra math, but I mean, I can see this end smaller, but that end's also sitting on a little bit of a tail going down. I mean, if you were to take a measurement,
it's not perfectly round either.
Right, that's 20 inches, and here is 21 inches. And here it's like 20.5. So, I should measure down, well, I guess. 21. What did I say this was? 21?
Yeah.
So, or we can call that good. Ready? So, all I'm going to do right now is make one cut and take a slab off and make it flat on the top and relieve some of the stress. And then we'll take 1-inch boards as we go down until we get to approximately a square. Here, let me show you. I'll just kind of try to draw out what we're going to do. So basically the blade right here is parallel with the deck right here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and slice off at the top here. And it can be a random measurement. We don't want to waste too much, but we also don't want to take just a little sliver like this. So we'll come down here somewhere and we'll cut a board. Oh, this pencil's not writing very well either. Sap. We'll just cut that off and that'll be a slab. That'll go on this trailer and just be kindling, firewood, whatever. Or like this is pine, actually it'll probably be for corduroying roads because it's not great for anything else. So then we'll come back in the next cut, we'll come 1 inch down and we'll cut a board off that, and it's going to have this live edge here and this live edge here. We'll set that aside on the back of the deck, and we'll have several of those. At the end of the day, we'll square them up later on. So later on, we'll come back and put square edges on the edges. And when we get to a point where we think we can kind of look and see, okay, so this is going to be our cant. So maybe take one more here, and the goal is to make a square or rectangle like that eventually. If you were to come down here, eventually we'd get down to, let's say, somewhere like there. And then when we rotate it the rest of the way, it'd be here. So this would be what's called a cant, this rectangle here. And whatever width boards you want, then you would start sawing that width. So if this is 10 inches, when this is a cant, you would cut, 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 cut. And you'll see we'll rotate it so that the boards don't cup like this, but that's another lesson. Right now, all we care about is getting this sliced off here, these slabbed out. We'll rotate it. We'll cut a slab, cut a slice, cut a slice, cut a slice. We'll rotate it again, cut a slice, cut a slice, cut a slice. Rotate it the fourth time, or fourth side rather. Cut these slices and then end up with this cant, and then we'll saw our boards. But after we get, this cut doesn't matter. We drop down an inch. We drop down an inch. Okay. Here, this cut doesn't matter. We drop down an inch, drop down an inch, drop down an inch. And then we have to start figuring, because whatever this last dimension we want to be, say if it's 12 inches, we have to do the math from here to 12 inches plus every board we're going to cut off. And then when we rotate it the last time,
you have to take into account the thickness of the blade.
yep,
You know,
so an 1/8 inch every time.
Okay.
And then the last time we have to account for, if we're cutting 1 inch boards, which would be called 4/4, we would go from this bottom one and how many boards it's going to take to get up here. And I have a little scale here I can show you later. It'll get down to that point, and then we won't have any waste at the end if we've done the math correctly.
Will it all be even, like exact
Yep.
measurement?
Yeah. So we'll do a quick running and see how it goes, and it'll be easier on one of the other logs, cedar logs or something. We get smaller, it'll go a lot faster, and you'll be able to tell. And maybe I can get a crayon and kind of see it better.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know with your layout.
We're going to start by cutting some slabs, or a slab. All right. I got close. So, you try and figure out how to put it in that time and hold down at the same time. Be careful with that hose tail there, darling. You don't want to get it caught in slack. I say you better be careful with that horse tail. You don't want to get caught in slack.
Well, we got to measure to create a camp.
So when we measured the log, it was about 21 inches off the deck. So I'm going to come here to somewhere around 20, 19 inches. So kind of see what that looks like, right? So the goal is I want to get a 6-inch board. So I need to have at least 6 inches of wood all the way down. And down there I'm not going to get that. 8 inches, right? Get the top of that, and then the next board we want to be able to get a 6-inch board out. Yeah. So you don't always get it right, but you have to cut more, of course. So then you got to put the water on. I'll do this watch right here. Not very much. So of course they should be seen. Right here. Just keeping it cool and keeping the tips on. This is designed to keep the blade perfectly level. And we don't want this to catch anything else. Pulls the paddle down and also engages the blade. So, you see, we took this huge slab off over here. And here, we only have maybe 7 inches or so. It'll be perfect. You can afford on it. So you always waste a lot on the slab. Now we'll drop down 1 inch and cut live edge cord off there. You know, wipe the sawdust this?
Yeah, in comparison.
So each one of these is a quarter or 1 inch. Okay, so this is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. But we have to account for the thickness of the blade. So this is an 1/8 inch. So 1/16 and an 1/8. So I'm going to go there. So that's 1 1/8 inches down from the previous cut. That'll leave enough room for the blade. And you should have 1 inch left. Afterwards, we come back and cut these off and make a 6-inch cord off it. And right now, I'm just set it on the back until we have a whole stack of them. Now I'm kind of looking down, and I want to get it so that I'm not having to take off huge slabs on this side or this side. In order to cut this knot off, you have to cut down here someplace. It'd be really close, so I think you can rotate it, and you have to come back and cut another one later to do. We have our 2 uprights over there. So I'll leave that dog in. Take this one off. Leave that out of the way. And I'll put the camp on. Make sure I've got a good pipe for it. Go on the other side to be able to see what I'm doing. Well, then there will always be a little piece of bark. I'll let it come back, get that bark out of there. Because this is what's going to make it square. It has to go right up against those perfectly. Like that. But pretty sure there's something on that side that's keeping it way up in the air. Get it as close to me as we can. Put a dog in, and then we'll have to lift up one end to get it fairly level. Now, if I take a measurement off the deck here, there's about 18 to our cut, about 24 to the top. I come over here. Got about 15 and about 19. So we got to split the difference to bring this end up. So
Like 1.5 to 2 inches.
I have like this an inch and 2 inches. So now if I measure off the deck again, 19.5, about 21. But it's curved like this, so on this side, it measures 19. Well, on this side, it measures 20. So we don't want to get this so far in the air that this makes it so small and that one is not. So looking at this is about 2 inches off the deck here. Over there it's about 2 inches off. So by the time you get all the way through, it should be pretty close. Not going to be perfect, just like the other slab had a big end on them. So this one looks really close. It's nice and flat up against there. That means this cut should be perfectly square to this side, which it probably won't be. You only have like 4 inches there, so it's kind of difficult, but give it a go. Lock the dogs in.
There's a little space here.
What?
Little space.
Yeah, let's get over there. How's it look now? Okay, so you see there's a little bit of gap at the top?
Yeah.
That little bit of gap there will make a big difference here, so I just take the pin, okay. Better? Yeah, look at it.
It's snug.
Okay. Now here, I'll show you. Find like the lowest spot. If we wanted to get this a perfect clean can, we'd have to come down to 15 inches. So we're way up here at 19, so we can take maybe in between somewhere here just to get 6 inches out, so maybe like 18 inches or so. We got the dirt in there so we can turn the water off the top. Well, even though we have this huge chunk over here, we need to make our 6-inch board. Damn. Thanks. I thought this was the lowest spot. Even there, I didn't quite know it. I didn't get a 6-inch board out of here, so I figured if I cut a half inch, now I will get a 6-inch board. So this is just garbage. Or lamp. We're trying to get this perfectly lined here, and it's really difficult. It's only like 4 or 5 inches. But what do you think? It took a lot of time when we first got this to dial that in, so it cut perfectly parallel with the deck. So you get perfectly square boards every time. So that's good. So we'll take maybe one more off and then we can go up here. Now I cut a full 1 inch. So, I go here, 1/3, that's an 1/8 inch. This is long, that's together. A little bit of wane edge right here, but to me it's not worth it taking another board. Let's roll it and see where we're at. We can always come back and cut it off later. But right now, we can get off this board, but it's really easy. So this is where The real work is done. Now the weight is over here. You gotta roll it up. Go watch on the other side. Don't put your fingers in there, but what I do is I'll try to hit it, push it hard enough that it bounces and slides this way and slides down. Now I can slide it up again. At this point, that's so heavy, you probably don't need to put the dogs in, but if I don't put them in, it seems like I always run into them with the mill. So.
What, you're done?
Well, this is where it becomes important. This is where you, at this stage, you have to decide how wide you want the boards. So, if we want to end up with 12 inches here, I have to figure for 12 inches plus 1 board, 2 boards, maybe 3 boards. Here.
Won't it also be, we have 1/8 inch?
Yeah. Well, you have to add the 1/8 inch, but I'm just saying, I'm just estimating in my mind.
Yeah.
If I want to end up with 12 inches, I need to take 1, 2, 3 cuts at least. Possibly 4. Will I get a 6-inch board here? Maybe. But then I also have to think, well, I've got this wane edge over here, so what I'd probably do is cut 1, 2, 3, and then roll it over completely and cut 1 off the bottom so that that wane edge is gone.
What is it called? Wayne?
Wane.
Wayne.
Yeah, like Wayne's World.
Wayne. Oh, I thought you said something about live edge.
Well, this would be a live edge.
Okay, so I was right on that.
Or some.
Right, okay,
I guess they're kind of interchangeable. So if I were to drop this down to 12, it should be right there. Okay, so that's 12.
Drop it down. Oh, you did 12. You dropped the blade down 12 inches right now.
Right. So when I get done, that's going to be the last cut.
Okay.
And then we'll have 12-inch wide boards. So now if we're going to cut, well, if we wanted to cut 4 boards off, we'd have to go 1 inch and 1/8, which would give you 13 1/8, and then another 1 1/8 inch will give you 14 3/8. Yeah, 14 3/8, or 14 1/4, and then another 1 inch and 1/8. I got to figure where I'm at. It would be 15 3/8, and if you wanted to go 1 more board, it would be 16 1/2. So 4/8. 4 cuts, 4/8.
So every time you did that, 1 1/8.
You get a 1-inch board.
Shifted up, shifted up, shifted up. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
I
started
would.
from the bottom and you worked your way up.
Right, so I was doing the math. If I want to end up with a 12-inch board, and I've got 16 1/2 inches to work with, I can get 4 1-inch boards, and then I also have to add the thickness of blade, which is 1/8 every time. So,
because when you were measuring your 12 inches, what I understand, you were measuring here to here is your 12 inches, but this is the width of the board,
correct,
is what you're working with. So then the width of the board, and then to be able to determine your access, you want 1-inch boards here, so you do a 1 1/8, 1 1/8, 1 1/8, and then now this is just the slab.
Right. And then if we want to complicate things further.
No, that's fine. I was thinking you were measuring differently and figuring out how many boards you wanted in here, but actually you turned it, and then this is the width of the board right now is what you're working with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the other thing is, I want this right here, the center of the tree, to be the center line of the board. Okay, so basically what I want is 6 inches down here, okay, approximately, and 6 inches up here, approximately. right? So if I measure this right now, I'm at like 7.5. The reason we want that is because if it's off-centered, the board is going to want to warp to one side. So it's going to work out all right, because what we're going to do is cut this to about 13 1/8, and then when we roll it around, we'll cut another inch off the bottom. And if we cut an inch off the bottom, we'll be at 6.5 on one side and 5.5 on the other. Hey, I was pretty close with my first line, huh?
Okay.
Clear as mud. So we come back down here. This only measures 16.5. So we're not going to get it. So this top one, we're going to waste a bit. We're going to cut it at 15 3/8. Man, that's quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, you can't change the tree.
change the tree. No dirt. (15 3/8).
All right, I'll just take 2 more on the bottom. Now this is where we have to decide how many boards we're going to get. And the way I do that is, technically you're supposed to find the lowest, but I measured about 14. And I'll just walk down here and just double check. So 12 to 13. Good bigger. So, come on this side.
We're going to cut 1-inch boards. So, see this 4? That stands for 4 quarters. So there's 4 quarters in an inch. If you want a 1 1/4 inch board, then you got 5 quarters. If you want a 1 1/2 inch board, you got 6. And if you want a 2-inch board, you got 8 quarters. So 8/4 equals 2 inch. It's just the way they nominalize lumber. So the first thing I need to do, yesterday I was cutting 2-inch, so I had this 8 lined up with 2 inches. That's the last board that we'd saw. Now I want to put this 4 quarters lined up with 1 inch. 1 inch is 4 quarters, so I'm going to move this down, and I'll show you what that looks like. Go all the way down. This line right here lines up with 1 inch, and I'll just make that scale line up right there. So on the last board, that's where I'll end up. We won't have any waste. But the starting point, we have to go all the way up. So I measured, I forgot my measurement. What was it 15, 14?
14, I think.
14? 14. So we have to come up here. So we go up, this is 14. So the closest we have to 14 is 14.5-ish right there. Or we'd have to go down to 13.5. Well, we can't make a board out of air, so our first cut is going to be right here. So this is where we're going to slice all the boards all the way down. So my first cut is going to be look great. It's just magnetic, so it's not always exact, but this is 14, so 13.5. So that would be the first cut. Look pretty close?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so now what I'll do is I'll go down and make it a clean cant, and then we can rotate it to get it back to 12 inches. Remember, I need to take 2 inches off that side yet. Over here.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's 14-inch boards, which we could leave, but that's pretty big. And it's easier math. 12 of them, 4 boards, make 48 inches, just like buying a 4-foot sheet of plywood or OSB or something. Which is what we would use this for, the 12-inch wide stuff. Okay, here we go.
So now I'm going to try to keep this center always in the center. So we got a lot more here. I'm going to cut a couple there, and then we can rotate it and cut a couple off this side. If you just start cutting on one side and go all the way down, by the time you get to the center point here, there's so much stress on each side that the boards will look like this. Both. Now, these first couple we can't get full 12 inches, so what I'll do is we'll slice them, set them over here, and then later we'll cut them down to like a 10-inch board or an 8-inch board. We don't want to leave them just random widths because when you go to plane them, you want them all the same. So, what, 6, 8, 10, 12 inches generally. So the last cut was 13 something. An inch down. Now we use the scale going all the way down. The reason I flip some of those over is I try to put the best edge facing this way, so when we stand them up, I cut the bad edge off and then flip them over, and then we have minimal weight. Very minimal, but see how this board warped this way? Only about an 1/8 inch though, which is not bad at all. But that tells me that there's just a little bit of stress in the log like this, and as you cut these fibers, this is wanting to pull this way. So it's pretty good. But the main thing is we can't change that now. The main thing is watching this, because even though this is 10 inches wide right now, this will want to start bowing like this. So I'm always looking for a gap on the deck. As soon as I see a gap, I need to roll it over and put this side up. And the other thing I'm looking for is try to keep this in the center now, okay? So right now I'm pretty even. If I saw a gap, I would flip it over, but I'll take one more board off and then probably flip it over. Moved exactly the same amount. Moved almost exactly the same amount. So we did a pretty good job. That only moved an 1/8 inch, but we did pretty good on the tension as well. Some of them, especially in hardwood, I've seen them move like an inch or 2 out. That's not so good. When I'm slamming it over, come on the other side. I drag these steel posts down to put these blocks so that when I push it, the mill doesn't move over. Or when we roll the logs down and they hit these arms, it doesn't push, because the mill will just block its way over. So I put these steel arms and screwed a couple blocks so that it kind of prevents it from moving. It's not that I'm that strong, it's just that the weight starts moving and slams against. Start the sawdust. Getting towards the center of the tree. Heartwood. Really light, white colored stuff with the sapwood on the very outside edge.
We're not done yet. We gotta saw those yet, but I was gonna show something that this mill has that most don't. Is, see, I can't pick this board up right here. On most mills, you'd be able to pick that up, but on this one, we drilled holes and threaded them, and then sharpened some stainless steel bolts and ran them through. So these, I'll flip this up and show you, dig right into the side of the board. And a lot of times those last couple boards that'll want to bow up, and this way it holds them down perfectly flat on the deck so that the last board comes out perfectly parallel.
Did the mill come with that?
No, they wouldn't do that. That's Polish engineering.
So you put that in?
Yeah. And I have one down here too. And then a couple more for longer stuff. But otherwise, almost always this board comes up like this. And when it comes up like that, you take the high center off, and then you got a thin spot left in your board. So that has really helped save a lot of lumber. So, not counting those, just this here. So this is 12 inches wide. So a board foot would be 12 inches by 12 inches by 1 inch thick. So these are 8 feet long, 12 inches wide. So you have 8 board feet in every one of these. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 88 board feet just in that pile there. So if you were to buy 3/4 inch plywood for sheeting, that's 32 square feet a sheet. What's 88 divided by 32? It'd be not quite 3.
Right.
So, and I don't know how much it costs for 3/4 inch plywood right now, but I'm guessing, I don't know, $50? I don't know. So, $150. If you're to buy it by the board, a lot more than that. Plus we have that there. So, and I don't know about other states, but in here, this is white pine, and white pine you cannot use for structural material, meaning you cannot use it for framing members 2 inches thick. There might be some inspectors out there that would grade it and approve it for building a house, but most of them won't. But for one,
Because it burns too quick. It burns faster than the hardwood. Just not fire.
no, that's not fire rating. It has to do with the strength. White pine is not nearly as strong as, say, white spruce or
Oh, okay, okay.
Or,
so not burn time, but
strength.
Structural strength,
Yeah, so if
stress.
you're
Okay.
building a house, you want to be strong. So when they grade lumber, like most graders will not accept white pine as framing material. So that's why I cut it all in 1 inch. The only time we cut 2 inch or sometimes 1.25 inch for like tabletops or
A mantle or something.
yeah.
Well, that last one before you put it in half, it's what it looked like. You know, it could be a mantle.
Right. So I can get this set up and we can cut these, or we can cut the next log.
I might as well finish these.
All right. So stand these up here. Again, these will keep it nice and square for us.
So how long? You said these are 8-foot boards. Okay.
100 inches, yeah. We cut them 100 inches because the ends will always crack a little bit. And then if you need an 8-foot, which normally that's what, nominal length when you're figuring stuff.
96. You got a 4
so you got
inches
4 inches to play with for
margin of error.
cracks, yeah. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to stack them all up here. And I think most of these we can get 10 inches out of for these large ones, so I'm going to put these on the outside edge. And then the smaller ones will put on the inside. And I'm just going to take 1 inch off each side approximately. And that should get us close to 10 inches. And then these other ones we may have to take a little bit more because obviously they're not quite we have all of our edging boards lined up. We're gonna take about 1 inch off the top and then flip some of them over, take 1 inch off the bottom, and then just cut down until we don't have any wane left, or very minimal. Maybe. Now,
What are you doing?
all right, clean off my sidewalk. Most important part. Whoop.
Oh,
Other side.
play in it.
You can play in it. Over there. I just fill in my hole. I take the back blade with the tractor and
Yeah, it's beautiful.
oh, nice. Good for the garden. Compost. Outhouse. Done. 32 square feet, and we had 88 plus 12, so 90. So 122 board feet out of one log.
Not too shabby. Oh.
Real good. And all really nice straight stuff.
Really not that much waste when you look at the stick pile.
Nope, you did a pretty good job on your map.
We got one more pine.
Yep.
And then a whole bunch of cedar. Okay, ciao for now, I suppose.